praise and glory to the Supreme Spirit of Truth, the Living One. Blessings to all the children that serve the Supreme Creator, the Most High. Hope everybody's having a blessed day. We're going to be reading from Samuel chapter 25, moving right along. Last couple of weeks, man, I've been challenging the darkness of this realm and the evil that exists and the entities that control it. I've been challenging corrupted officials, corrupted law enforcement. I've been challenging many different forms of evil. The beast I've called out. I'm calling out everybody. There's a parable that says, who can make war with the beast? Well, I'm making war with the beast. I said the other day that I'm going to tear Satan's horns from his head. Now, Satan doesn't literally have horns from his head, but Satan is a gorgeous, beautiful man. He's a manipulator. He's a liar. He's a con. Kind of like all your politicians that sit there and talk shit. They'll tell you that they're going to do something. For instance, Donald Trump, who told us that he's going to build a wall that never got built. He said he was going to throw Hillary Clinton in prison. She never got thrown in prison. He said that he was going to drain the swamp. He never drained the swamp. Let me show you something here real quick. Let's see. Hid from public. Let's see. Land of confusion. Give me 1 second here. So this is what I mean about the slave masters getting up in your grind. They've been watching me in everything I do. I spoke out against the pharmaceuticals. I did a video the other day, and what do? They push pharmaceuticals. I said something about the dating site that I was on, and that people with only one picture and nothing written on their profile, nothing but how tall they are and their age, are fake profiles. I've said that people on Facebook, when you give permissions to people that are on Facebook, then they take those permissions and they use your photos and stuff, and they create these false accounts and stuff that exist. So when Donald Trump said that he was going to drain the swamp, this is what he's talking about. You see the snake right there? Huh? They're showing it right in your face what the swamp is. And I've been sharing this information with people forever. So what are they showing you here? They're showing you politicians in the swamp. Because these people show you something, when they do it, they plan freaking 100 years ahead of time. So the technology that you're looking at that we see today is not the same technology that they're using against us. These devices have learned how to read your thoughts. Some of you may say that I'm crazy. I don't care what you think. You are blind. You know nothing. You are consumed by this world. You believe in this world. You love this world. You love your politicians. You love the rat race. You love voting for the opposite of two evils. Real quick, let me share something with you. This is pretty deep. You cannot give a woman everything she needs. If God himself gave them eyebrows, they shave it and draw their own. God gave them nails, they cut them off and fix their own. God gave them hair, they cut it off and fixed their own. He gave them breasts, they repackage it to what they want. God still gave them buttocks, they arrange it to the size they want. If God can't satisfy them, then who are you to think that you can please them? Huh? Today, it's almost impossible to please a woman. Not when I say that, I mean specifically those that are caught up into the rat race, those that are that don't follow the doctrine of the Ten Commandments, those that walk contrary to the Bible, those that say that they love God, but they do nothing to experience a relationship with God. It's all lip service. Lip service is so deep on this countryside. I hear it all the time from Christians. Oh, I love God. I love God. I love God. And then the minute you start talking to them about God, they're like, "Well, I don't force your understanding of God down my throat." Understand, folks. There's only one supreme point of singularity, the author that moves all things in place, the eternal, self-existing, perpetual force that moves all things in place. There's nothing outside the point of singularity. He is the one that gave power. And the power that runs this world are evil. The hands of the wicked have been turned over to this world. The world has been turned over to the hands of the wicked. Did you hear the news today? Now look at here. What is that? That's Jesus Christ. They're showing you right there, a cross, right across the forehead. The mark of the beast right there. The cross is the crossroads. The cross is the mark of the beast. Look at there. What do you suppose that is? So you see this guy here? He's getting ready to pop this general's head out of the swamp. Let's see that again. Let's go back a little further. Right there. So they're showing you, they even have Nancy Pelosi in there. They pull her head out of the swamp too. And they pull a couple of the other politicians' heads from the swamp. And then they show you what? This right there in front of your face. They are the aliens that I've been trying to tell you about. Okay? Aliens are 666. Giant aliens in gematria comes to 666. It is also the number of skull and bones. Giant aliens, the aliens are those that run this realm. They've tied into a machine, into the computer. These people have already sold their souls. This is why they spray the skies with chemtrails. This is why they push their pharmaceutical drugs on the nation. This is why they keep street drugs on the streets. This is why they create the alcohol. This is why they put prostitution on the streets, because they're not human beings. They're something other than human beings. Okay? They're flesh suits with no soul on them. And that's what they're doing. They're burning into the night. They're going to fry all right. So I've raised war against the slave masters. I'm calling them all out. I'm calling Donald Trump out. I'm calling Biden out. I'm calling Kamala Harris out. I'm calling all the senators out, governors out, assemblymen, all of you that are in the government that have sold your soul. Those of you that continue to tax us, those of you that continue to make people poor and take more from them and put us into the slave world. You've got to understand, folks, the only way that we are going to be able to get freed of this realm is to take it back. All right? The governments are what are evil. It's that simple. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, Bible Hub. Turn my mouse on so I don't have to reach around this phone. Okay. For unto us a child is born. Okay, this is Yeshua of Nazareth, the Nazarene, a Hebrew, an Israelite. Jesus was a Hebrew Israelite. He wasn't a Gentile. Okay, unto us a son is given. That's the star God, Jesus Christ, superstar. Notice there's two. Why couldn't this just read, for unto us a child is born and the governments will be upon his shoulders? Because the governments are on Jesus Christ's shoulders. Didn't he run with tax collectors, attorneys, lawyers, prostitutes? Huh? Isn't he the one that's given a free pass to all those that are evil? All right. So when it says, for unto us a child is born, it's talking about Yeshua, or they call him Yahweh Shai, or Joseph. All right. Unto us a son is given, star God, Jesus Christ crucified. And the governments will be upon Jesus Christ crucified's shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Jesus, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. Prince of Peace, Jesus will be called, huh? And the prince of this world shall be cast out. Welcome to the person who came in. Hope you stick around for a bit and listen to what I have to say today. I'm going to be doing a Bible reading and going through a few of these parables. John 12:31 tells us, now judgment is upon the world. Judgment is upon the world. Now the prince of this world will be cast out. Well, Jesus is the prince of this world. Jesus is the one that will be cast out. Now judgment is upon the world. Well, that's a far cry from this one here. John chapter 3, verse 6, Bible Hub. Let's see. Is it John chapter 3, verse 16, Bible Hub? For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that everyone who believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Understand, eternal life is both of the dead. You have an eternal life of dead, and you have an eternal life of the living. There's two different races. One race is the God of the dead. The other race is the God of the living. There's two different gods. The point of singularity created both good and evil. He tells you himself that he created both good and evil. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, Bible Hub. Says the Lord here, I am the Lord and there is no other. There is no other. Well, sadly for this, in this case here, Lord is Yahweh. It is also Jehovah. All right. And both Yahweh, Lord, and Jehovah are all men of war. Proven here. Exodus chapter 15, verse 3, Bible Hub. Drop all the way down to the bottom here. You got to read through multiple parables, folks, to catch what's being said here. Okay? So you have the Lord is a man, Yahweh is a man, and Jehovah is a man. They're all war and battle. Okay? So if you're a God of war and you're capable of murdering and killing and destroying, then you can't be a pure God of nothing but love. It's that simple. So judgment is upon this world. And that kind of shoots this one here, for God so loved the world. Well, what's this God here? This God here tells you is a magistrate, okay, which is a magi. I got to set these up in folders. Right there. Magi are magistrates. They're fourth degrees. They're masons. Okay? They're part of a shadow band of brothers that commit abominating acts. All right? And this is why the word magi is in magistrate, because magistrate are magus. Watch. Dictionary.com. When you use the dictionary, things open up for you. We're going to type in magus. And there it is, right there in front of you. A magi. So when Donald Trump says, make America great again, that is a MAGA. MAGA is magus. Magus is a magi, which are magicians. And then that would clear this up on this parable here. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, Bible Hub. I'm the one that makes these connections. This was a gift that was given to me from the Supreme Creator, the Most High. He put it on me. He allowed me to decipher the riddle of 666, something that no Christian minister is going to teach you. Okay? I have confronted enough Christian ministers about 666, and when I start talking to them, they immediately have to leave. They immediately want to get away from me. Why? It's your Bible. It's their Bible. It's Christian's Bible. It's not my Bible. That's the one that was changed. So this God here, there's a difference. This is God Elohim. You see the difference there? The gods of the New Testament and the gods of the Old Testament are two different gods. The gods of the Old Testament are Elohim. The God and Elohim are both good and evil. And the gods of the New Testament are magistrates. They're magic men. This is why you have the word mage in image. Oh my God, did I just put a connection there together between magi and mage? Because the word is craft. It's wordcraft. Our language that we speak is wordcraft. And a mage is a conjurer. It's a sorcerer right there. Now, if you change one letter in the word sorcerer to O, sorcerer comes to 666. Witchcraft. Oops. Witchcraft comes to 666. Revelations chapter 13, 18 Bible Hub. This parable here, this magical parable that the Spirit of the Creator, the Supreme Creator, has allowed me to decipher this riddle, says here's a call for wisdom. So it takes wisdom. Wisdom is Sophia, which is feminine. Okay? This is why the earth is feminine. The earth is Sophius. Let the one with insight. Now, this is what's key. Insight is the mind. Insight is not your brain. Okay, the mind and the brain are two different things. The mind is spiritual. The brain is flesh. The brain is nothing but an antenna, and they have learned a way to hijack our brains through technology. This is why, I don't know if you recognize it, but I'm going to tell you now. Pay attention. Think about something. Don't speak it out loud. Don't say anything aloud. Just think of it. All right? And then go in there and you click on your computer, and I guarantee you an ad's going to pop up about what you were just thinking, because they have learned how to channel through the pineal gland, because the eye is the seat to the soul of the body. You understand? This technology is real technology. It's not anything to laugh at. So the one who has insight is of the mind, and that means that you are connected to spirit. I serve spirit. I do the best not to serve my flesh. I don't drink anymore. I was an alcoholic. I don't do drugs anymore. I was a drug addict. I don't smoke pot anymore. I smoke pot. I I I shamefully myself. I went out and I got in relationships with women that were married. I committed adultery. I lied. I cheated. I stole, and then somehow or another, the truth was placed upon me, and um, I saw the sins of the world. And while I was looking at the sins of the world, my own sins and transgressions were presented right before me. So I saw all the shameful acts of everybody else that was in the world. And then I saw myself indulging with those people in those shameful acts that I took place. So, and when this happened to me, I was so full of shame that I fell to my knees and I just cried out for the truth. And I humbly laid down and submitted, and I humbly repented, and I called on the Spirit of truth. And in that moment, the Spirit of truth ripped the scales from my eyes. I had read the Bible I don't know how many times. I never understood what the Bible is saying. And when I say I read the Bible, that's what most people do. They read the Bible. They don't study the Bible. If you only read the Bible, you are never going to see the contradictions in the Bible. You have to show yourself approved. You must really dig in. And you have 10% of the Christians on the face of this earth, excuse me, read the Bible. And 1% of the 10% that know the Bible, Christian ministers that study the Bible and know the Bible, they're the ones where it says in the parable, right here, let me show you the parable. The world has been turned over to the hands of the wicked. So in Job 24, it's telling us the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He blindfolds its judges. Well, who are the judges? They're the magistrates. They're the Supreme Court. They're court officials. They're prosecuting attorneys. They're those that have placed themselves in power over you, because the world has been turned over to the hands of those that are wicked. You see, once you understand that the Supreme Creator, He created wickedness of mankind, because you are a spiritual being. You are not flesh and blood. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, Bible Hub. I like using Bible Hub because it gives you the Strong's Concordance with it. It gives you the breakdown from Hebrew to Latin to Greek to English. All right, so the Bible is telling us, for our struggles is not against the flesh and blood. So then, if our struggles are not against the flesh and blood, then flesh and blood makes no difference at all. Color and race makes no difference at all. Black and white do not exist if it's not about the flesh and blood. But it's against the rulers. Who are the rulers? Those that are lying to you about this jacked up system that we're in, the corruption of the politics. Politics is like Hollywood, but only it's Pollywood. Pollywood are political actors. Donald Trump being shot in his ear is a political act. It wasn't real. It's a hive. They're laughing at the people. a hive. Who's this? This is Jesus. What's he doing? He's coming through a hole in the wall. Why? Jesus defeated death, is what we're told. He died on the cross and raised on the third day. And then you have this is Donald getting shot in his ear, right? Grabs his ear. Next day, he's got a patch on his ear, right? I got to tell you, if you have a patch on your ear after being shot the next day, that's what this is. This is a hive. They're mocking you. You see, because when you're shot in your ear, then that means that there would be blood on Donald Trump's ear patch the next day. There's no way around it. You put an ear patch on, the blood would have seeped through that patch. You would have seen. You never saw any of Donald Trump's patches with blood on them. It's that simple. So I just wanted to point a little bit of that out. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into Samuel chapter 25. David, Nabal, and Abigail. Now Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him, and they buried him at his home in Ramah. Then David moved down into the desert of Paran. A certain man in Maon who had property there at Carmel was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. When David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. So he sent 10 young men and said to them, "Go up to Nabal in Carmel and greet him in my name. Say to him, long life to you, good health to you and your household, and good health to all that is yours. Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore be favorable towards my men, since we come at a festival time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them." When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is this David? Who is this son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for your shears, and give it to men coming from who knows where?" David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word. David said to his men, "Each of you strap on your sword." So they did, and David strapped his on as well. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. One of the servants told Abigail, Nabal's wife, "David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields nothing was missing. Night and day they were a wall around us the whole time we were herding our sheep near them. Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him." Abigail acted quickly. She took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 shias, and roasted grain, and 100 cakes of raisin, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on a donkey. Then she told her servant, "Go on ahead, I'll follow you." But she did not tell her husband, Nabal. As she came riding her donkey into the mountain's ravines, there were David and his men descending towards her, and she met them. David had just said, "It's been useless, all my watching over this fellow's property in the wilderness, so that nothing of his was missing. He has paid me back evil for good. May God deal with David, be it ever so severely, if by morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him." When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Please pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name means fool, and folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the men my lord sent. And now, my lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives and as you live, since the Lord has kept you from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands, may your enemies and all who are intent on harming my lord be like Nabal. And let this gift which your servant has brought to my lord be given to the men who follow you. Please forgive your servant's presumptions. The Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my lord, because you fight with the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live. Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my Lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies will be hurled away as from the pocket of a sling. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing he promised concerning him and has appointed him ruler over Israel, my Lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my Lord success, remember your servant." David said to Abigail, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, not one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak." Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, "Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request." When Abigail went to Nabal, he was in the house holding a banquet like that of a king. He was in high spirits and very drunk. So she told him nothing at all until daybreak. Then in the morning, when Nabal was sober, his wife told him all these things, and his heart failed him, and he became like a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Praise be to the Lord, who has upheld my cause against Nabal for treating me with contempt. He has kept his servant from doing wrong and has brought Nabal wrongdoing down on his own head."
What are you
Then,
doing, Anna? Working on my dating profile. Want to see? I think that's me.
see
Well, how do you
how
sleep
they
at night? On a
interrupt.
Tempur-Pedic mattress I got at Mattress Firm. It's got cooling technology, so now I sleep.
Get matched at Mattress Firm?
Sleep
I'm
at night.
sorry about that. That's how rude these people are. Right in the middle of a Bible reading, they're going to play a commercial. I have it on mute. You see that? That's muted right there. Nothing should be played. They're the ones that turn the mute on. They're the ones that do this. They're the ones that are in control of these devices. They're the ones that commit this evil. They are the evil of the world. The world has been turned over to the hands of the wicked. The world has been turned over to mankind. Mankind are not human beings. This is why mankind sprays the skies with chemtrails. It's why they put fluoride in the water. It's why they put prescription drugs on the television. I mean, you can't turn on a TV and watch it for 2 hours without seeing 20 minutes of attorneys. You can't watch it without 10 or 15 minutes of prescription drugs being shoved down your throat. Everything is evil. All of it. And then if you speak out against it, this is why I've had this channel for 4 years now. I've literally had thousands of people who subscribe to my channel, thousands. And literally thousands of people, the minute they hear me start preaching about 666, they flee, they run. They don't want to hear the truth about the riddle. They don't want to know that there's two. They want to believe, go on believing that there's simply one human race. And there's not one human race. There's two races of people. It's not a race war of black and white. It's a race war of good and evil. It's not about the flesh and blood. It's about good and evil. It's about if you walk in righteousness, upright, and you walk with the 10 commandments on your heart, and you do what's right before the Spirit of truth, then you will find good grace in his presence. And he will guide you and protect you and keep all that is evil away from you. When you engage in evil, when you engage in prostitution, you engage in eating drugs.
Oh! Yes.
How do you sleep at night?
On a
Yeah.
mattress. From Mattress
See, now
Firm.
this just chaps my
Honestly,
ass.
It's the best sale of the year. Save up to $700
I've been reading this
on
whole thing the
Tempur-Pedic.
whole time, and I
Get
didn't
matched
even
at
know
Mattress Firm.
that I was
Sleep at
even
night.
off. So this is how rude they are. And I gotta say, this is what causes a lot of discord from me. This is what makes me say, I will gut you motherfuckers. I will take you in the life after. When my spirit is freed from this soul trap, this flesh trap that I am, if the Spirit finds grace in me, I'm going to hack the head off the person who's interrupting my lesson. And if you and your children aren't straight, everything that exists in your life will be smashed down. I will beat you down. I will throw you down. I will cut you down. I will harm your family and those that you love the most. So you better get right with the Spirit of truth. Now, this isn't my vengeance. This is God's vengeance. But hey, I don't like my lesson being interrupted. I don't like it at all. May you get slammed by an 18-wheeler and plastered all over the ground. May God hear my cries and my anger and my pain and sorrow that I go through. In order for people to be rich on this plane of existence, you have to have people that are poor. You got to understand, look, let me show you something. Is it not written in your law that I've said ye are gods? So John 10:34 quoted, John chapter 10 verse 34 Bible Hub. Jesus replied, is it not written in your law, I have said you are gods. So this means that everybody that is on this plane of existence is of God. We are all fragmented pieces of God. It doesn't matter if you're just a tiny little piece of God, then you are an infinite piece of God. This is what the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty set on a wall means. He had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men, the corruption of the government, that's what it's talking about, cannot put us together again. And everybody keeps voting these people into office like mankind is going to save you. Save us, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, you're just such a wonderful man, Donald. Oh, I need Donald. Oh, if Camilla's voted into the White House, I'm going to leave this country. Listen. If somebody wants to pay for me to leave this country, I'll leave. I'll get the hell out of America, man. And when the bombs drop on this place, don't say that you wasn't warned, because you have been warned for me for years now. So Jesus is telling us that we're gods. So plainly, And this God's here, again, is a theos, is a magistrate. So we are all equal parts of one another, not to be in power over one another, but to be as one with one another. You got to understand that those officials that are in office today have made themselves higher gods above you. Look, they print off money out of nowhere, and this is the way it works with their usury and their percentage income and their prices. And if you have X amount of dollars, you get dividends paid on your dollars. They print off the money, and then their money that they put in the bank at these astronomical amounts of billions of dollars, well, their billions of dollars draws all this interest. Where when you could have $5,000 in the bank for 25 years and you'll be lucky if it generated $10,000 by the time. But their billions, that's how they trickle it down. They use the money to enslave us. Money is their God. And they can't take it with them. But what they do is they keep leaving it behind. Understand that in the end, everything that you own in the end will go back to the government. Everything that your children own will go back to the government. Everything. Every penny, every dollar, every piece of land that you own, every vehicle that you own, everything is going to be trashed. The landfills are filled with cars. There's more cars on the face of the earth than there are human beings. There's like 30 freaking billion cars on the face of the earth. And there's like 8 people. And the production of the landfills filled with broken down cars. And God and Jesus is telling us that we're gods. So we are the gods. And the only way that we're going to be freed from this plane of existence is to turn it over to the Supreme Spirit and admit your transgressions against his laws and commandments. And by doing this, this is how you will find salvation. You can't find salvation through a man. Jesus Christ was a man. We're told that he was fully man and fully God. Jesus Christ lost his power when a woman touched him in a crowd. A woman in the crowd touched Jesus's cloak and he lost his power. Matthew chapter 9, verse 20, Bible Hub. Jesus got up and went with him along with his disciples. Suddenly a woman who had suffered from bleeding for 12 years came behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. She said to herself, "If only I touch his cloak, I will be healed." I got a lot of windows open, so this is kind of moving slow. Jesus turned and saw her. "Take courage, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." And the woman was cured from that very hour. And before that happens, let's see. Matthew chapter 9, Bible. Matthew chapter 9. They were going to stone Jesus to death because he was healing people on the Sabbath day. Also, let me remind you that the Lord does say that your Sabbath days, your incense burnings, your blood sacrifices and convocations are an abomination to him. So daughter, but come put your hands on her and she will live. Jesus got up and went with him, and so did his disciples. Neither the people pour new and wine into the old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst. The wine will run out and the wineskin be ruined. I'm looking for a particular, I can't remember. Maybe. What parable is it that Jesus loses his power when the woman touched him who was bleeding? Luke chapter 8, verse 46, Bible Hub. But Jesus declared, someone touched me, for I know that power has gone out of me. My power, Jesus is God, and his power has gone from him. Jesus had to ask who touched his cloak. He's fully man and fully God. This is what gets Christians every time. You can't claim that he's fully man and fully God and then not know who touched him. If he's an omnipotent spirit, because that's what Jesus is supposed to be. He's supposed to be a spirit. He's supposed to be fully spirit, God, and he's supposed to also be God in the flesh, who is sent by himself to himself to be prosecuted on a cross and die for our sins. Let me ask you something. If Jesus, the Father, sent Jesus himself, the Son, to die on a cross, and Jesus knew that he was to be persecuted on the cross, then why would Jesus have to hide from those Pharisees that were going to stone him? He knew what his purpose was. He knew that he was sent to be persecuted on a cross, to die on a cross. He knew that that was his purpose while he is sent here. So why would he have to hide from those? And Jesus had to hide. The people in the synagogue were filled with rage, and they got up and drove him out of the city and led him to the brow of the hill on which their city had been built, in order to throw him down the cliff. But passing through their midst, he went his way. Now, folks, listen. If somebody wants you dead, they're going to kill you, especially like JFK. Did they mess around with JFK? Hell to the no, they blew that man's head off. Okay? If these, like when they tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan, or when they assassinated Abraham Lincoln. So we've had two assassinations that were clearly completed, and then two assassination attempts on presidents that didn't happen. You had Ronald Reagan assassination attempt, Donald Trump assassination attempt, and then you had the two executions of JFK and Abraham Lincoln. So that tells you how messed up this plane of existence is, and that no one, if they want to execute you in this plane of existence, can get away from what it is that's going to be taking place. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Praise be to the Lord, who has upheld my cause against Nabal for treating me in contempt. He has kept his servant from doing wrong and brought Nabal's wrongdoing down on his own head." Then David sent word to Abigail, asking her to become his wife. His servants went to Carmel and said to Abigail, "David has sent us to you to take you to become his wife." She bowed down with her face to the ground and said, "I am your servant, and I am ready to serve you and wash the feet of my Lord's servant." Woo! Boy, I tell you, I wonder what it would be to have a woman that prostrated herself like that before a man. It would just... I know that I never got that simply because I was in transgression of laws of God's laws and commandments. I was fornicating with multiple people. So when you fornicate with multiple people, then what are you going to get? You're going to get a woman that fornicates with multiple people as well. You're going to get a liar. You're going to get a cheater. You're going to get a corrupted woman who doesn't prostrate herself, who doesn't love you. All she loves is herself and feeding her own flesh, as is the same with both man and mankind. We must prostrate ourselves humbly before the Spirit of truth. We must be guided humbly before the Spirit of truth in order for us to find that salvation of people. I If you don't do this, then you are gonna be cursed. And God, the supreme, the Spirit of truth, the loving, living God, isn't gonna allow you to be with a woman who prostrate herself, who would rub your feet when you came home from work, who would have your meals ready, who does cook from scratch rather than a damn TV dinner shoved inside of a stove for 40 minutes, man, while you come home. A woman that does draw your bath for you, a woman that does rub your back for you. And I say that if a woman is doing all the working in the house and the man has allowed himself to be simped out, then you should be rubbing your wife's feet and rubbing her back and having a meal ready for her when she comes in the door and drawing the water for her when you're ready. It goes both ways. This world has taken us and put us in a slave state. At one time, a man was capable of going to work, busting his ass off, and providing for his family. And then this world came along with the women's movement and women's rights and fascism and feminism and everything else. And they put women in the workforce. And then by taking women in the workforce, now you got two incomes that are being taxed to death. You still can barely survive with two incomes today being taxed to death. And what did it do? It took you out of the home. What good does it do to take both the man and the woman out of the home if there's not someone there for the safety of your children? And that's what the whole purpose was designed. It was designed to get the mother out of the household. And I will say straight up, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that a woman's position at home is a far greater position than a man who only has to get up out of bed each day and bust his ass and go to work. All right? It may be redundant. It may be the same thing day in and day out. But what a mother has to do compared to a man, she has to make sure that the kids are up. She's got to feed the kids. She's got to make them breakfast. She's got to wash their clothes. She's got to make sure that they have clean clothes on their back. She's got to do the shopping for them. She's got to send them off to school with a lunch. She's got to prepare them a lunch. She's got to go grocery shopping. She's got to come home. She's got to cook a meal. She's got to have it ready on the meal. She's got to make the bed. She's got to clean the house. She's got to wash the dishes. Every meal, everything that she does, that's what she has to do day in and day out. Her responsibility to the children and making sure that they have a safe, clean home environment is the most precious gift that a husband can have, to come home to and know that his wife is doing what honors the supreme creator. Loving the supreme creator brings you a woman that is going to prostrate herself before God, and that she's going to make sure that your children are safe and that you are loved and that you are taken care of. And that is the most precious gift that a man could ever have in his life. And the most precious gift that a woman could have is a man that busts his ass and is loyal and honest and true to her. He goes, he does his work. If they go out together. Not him leave the wife at home, not the wife leave when the husband gets home, but they go out and they do it together. If they don't do everything together, then surely the home is going to be a broken home. So she bowed down with her face to the ground and said, I am your servant, and I am ready to serve you and wash the feet of my Lord's servant. Abigail quickly got on a donkey and, attended by her 5 female servants, went with David's messengers and became his wife. David had also married Ahinoam. I may have killed that and slaughtered it. I'm pretty sure that I did. Of Jezreel. And they both were his wives. But Saul had given his daughter Micah, David's wife, to Patel, son of Laish, who is from Galim. So I don't know who came in. I couldn't see if there were any messages left or anything. Uh, well, excuse me. I'm going to pick up my phone here for a second and see if there were any. I can't read messages while I'm doing this lesson, but I have two visitors in the room. Go ahead and smash that like button. I got two of you in the room. I'd like to see 2 likes. All praise and glory to the Supreme Spirit of Truth. Blessings to you that came in and visited me in the channel. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very, very much. All praise and glory to the Supreme Spirit of Truth. May you prostrate yourself before the Lord, before the Supreme Creator, not the Lord, because the Lord has a name. The Lord is a man, and but when I say Lord, I'm specifically speaking about the Spirit of Truth, the point of singularity, the Almighty, the Most High, the Supreme Creator, the One. Blessings to all of you who came in. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful evening. This is White Raptor News Ministries.